Hello. Okay.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. And I'm going to pull this up on my phone too, so I can see if anyone joins us and has questions in the chat. Everyone, welcome to Thursday live sneak peek coaching with the real estate prescription. Every week, Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern, we interview another rock star agent and we give them your questions that you gave us when you joined the group, and we answer them live. So today, our lucky people that we are answering questions for is Lydia Penner, Lisa Johnson Medford, Marisa Reed, Pam Portenstein, and Priyanka Paul. So today we get to interview a agent that is near and dear to my heart, Alison, and I'm going to hope I say this right. Is it Aviles?
You're you're
Aviles?
you're so Aviles. I was going to say you're so right there. You're so close.
All right. So we have Alison Aviles on the call, and she is in Chicago's Northside. She and her husband, Ryan, work on a team together, and their family lives in Chicago's Northside. And Alison is going to share all the secrets that she has learned in the last couple months that have allowed her to build a massive pipeline. By the way, Alison, we didn't talk about this yet, but your accountability snapshot this week. Okay. I looked at it every Tuesday. We do an accountability snapshot in our program, and they tell me how many conversations they had, how many deals they put in their pipeline, how much it was worth GCI worth. Do you remember your numbers just vaguely, like give or take?
Yes, I do, because I was also quite surprised. So I think my goal for intentional conversations is usually around 14. And that's for both Ryan and myself. And that's based on a 5-day work week, not because we don't work on the weekends, but I just take time off tracking on the weekends. And I think we actually hit like 22 or 23 intentional conversations. And I want to say in the most recent tracking period, we added over 150K in potential GCI to the pipeline.
Yeah, I think it was like 190,000.
Woo, woo.
I saw it, and it's so funny because we have so many students that fill this accountability snapshot out that the data was super duper small. And most of you know that most of my students know I'm going through some crazy personal stuff right now. And so I was like trying to read this tiny print, and I'm like, is that 6 digits? But yeah, so I think you guys have firmly had like the best week you've ever had in the program, adding $190,000 of potential gross commission income to your pipeline. And I am super excited for you to share your perspective with the people who are watching today so that they can learn from you, Alison, because you've learned a lot in the last couple months. So without further ado, here we go. We're going to start with well, let's go. I want to start with Priyanka Paul. Okay. We're going to start with Priyanka Paul. And we said, if you could change anything about your business, Priyanka, what would that be? And her answer was lead generation process. So this is a great place to start. Alison, I want you to first speak to Priyanka and everyone else about what was your mindset before joining the Deal a Day Pipeline program and learning everything you've learned that you're about to share. What was your mindset back then, and how has it changed over just a few couple months? Because I want Priyanka to understand, why should she be listening today?
So, hi, Priyanka. I'll tell you, right before I joined the program, my mindset was absolute panic and disappointment, because prior to getting into real estate, I had a roughly 18-year sales career where I was mostly calling on strangers in a very niche market. So it was targeted, but there wasn't really a relationship building component to it. And that's just kind of how I was wired, was to cold call, knock on doors. I knew who my targets were. It was just a matter of getting to them. When I got into real estate, what scared me the most was that the doors were kind of wide open. Like literally anyone you meet throughout your day could be a prospective client or a referral source. And I had no idea how to manage that. So before joining Danielle's program, a couple months prior to that, right when I got my license, I was in another coaching program. And the methodology was essentially, you're going to just hammer your sphere of influence, which I think is what a lot of new realtors are told, right? Is to just like, continue to go back to friends and family, stay in touch, the forward questions, all that stuff. And not to totally discount that, but I feel like there's only so many times you can go back to that well. And to be totally honest, I'm pretty introverted myself, and I have a decently sized network of acquaintances, but not a ton of people who I'm like routinely in touch with where it would make sense for me to be, constantly trying to chip away and pull a lead out of that. So that was not successful for me at all. In fact, I think by making such an abrupt shift and being so in your face with my sphere right off the bat when I got my license, I actually feel like that was a bit of a turnoff to some of my friends. My feelings would be hurt when I'd see that they were like unsubscribing from my email newsletter, or, not returning calls, or I would find out that they're doing transactions with other agents. And the lead generation piece of it was absolutely the scariest part for me. What I've found out through this program is it's really all about identifying what is going to allow you to be your most authentic self and to be the most comfortable in your own skin. Because if you're not comfortable, you're going to dread it every single day and you're not going to do it. So for me, I knew that I didn't want to pick up the phone and do cold calls anymore like I did in my previous life, or knock doors like I did in my previous life. And I also knew that I didn't want to go to my kind of small-ish network of people in my social life and my personal life who I preferred to kind of keep separate from what I'm doing career-wise. So I had to find some type of middle ground. And that's where the light bulb, the aha moment happened, that I just enjoy like going out and about in the neighborhood, taking the dog for a walk, taking the kids out to the park. And if a conversation happens, if I meet a new mom at the park, if I meet a small business owner in town, like, it doesn't have to feel forced. It doesn't have to feel uncomfortable. Just having a natural conversation, keeping it light, honestly, kind of keeping real estate on the way back burner and not being so salesy and in your face. Once I understood how to make that feel natural and in my own voice and something that I could do and set a realistic goal for every single day, it became so easy. And now Ryan and I have sort of, I mentioned this to you early on, Danielle, Ryan and I have sort of like gamified that, like it's a beautiful day in Chicago today, even though it's the middle of November. And at some point we're going to go conversation hunting. We'll take the dog out for a walk, or we'll go get a cup of coffee and just see what happens. Our goals are realistic and achievable, and we track every single day. And it will surprise you how easy it is to generate qualified, real leads. I mean, it's on us to nurture those leads and make sure that they convert. But what I would want anyone to understand coming into this program, no matter where they are in their real estate career, but especially if you're newer, lead generation does not have to be something that ties your stomach up in knots and makes you sweat and causes you to lose sleep at night. It doesn't have to be some ridiculous, unattainable target where you feel like you're failing every single day because you're not adding 10 new opportunities to your pipeline. It doesn't have to be like that. Go out and do the things that you love to do. For me, that's being outside, that's enjoying everything that Chicago has to offer, that's spending time with the kids. Use that as an opportunity to open yourself up to engaging with people. And that's it. Like, I know it sounds kind of oversimplified, but it really is that simple. And I would not have believed that 8 months ago when I joined the program.
So what I love about what you said is, number one, you've gamified it. So one thing I want to say, guys, is that we have a tracking system in our program. And if you do want that tracking system, hang on here, because I will tell you how you can get an abbreviated version of it. Okay. But we have a tracking system, and every day Allison and Ryan go out. And how many conversations do you hit between the two of you on a daily basis?
I would say on average between 3 and 4 total a day.
So 3 and 4 total a day, maybe 2 and 2, right? So y'all go out and you have your 4 conversations, and you guys are searching for a deal. And in the span of 2 days, you're going to find 1 or 2 deals. That's what your statistics say, right? So Those are like little deposits in your pipeline. And what Alison is saying is they've turned it into a game. They have decided they're going to go out and conversation hunt, conversation hunt, conversation hunt. And the reason why they can do that with peace of mind is because they have tracked. Okay. They know that it takes this many conversations to find one deal in your pipeline. They know that for the ones that don't end up being a deal in their pipeline, there's a natural, authentic way to continue to serve them, build a relationship with them, help them where they are, right? As a homeowner, as a tenant, as a community member. So every conversation is a win. It's just what kind of win is it, right? And so because they know that, they can have peace of mind and relax because week after week after week, they've seen that in their game of conversation hunting, they get to pull one out of how many? How many conversations does it take y'all to get one deal?
We're under 4 at this point. I think, gosh, actually, you know what? I should know this off the top of my head, but I'm going to take a glimpse at my dashboard, the ultimate truth teller here.
It is.
Number of conversations. Let's see, to a deal. I want to be accurate here. Is, oh my gosh, why am I not seeing
I
it?
can't find it. It's right at, it should be in the top section. Did you simplify your dashboard or do you still have the old version?
I think I still have the old version.
Okay. So it's
3.37. Sorry.
You're kidding me. 3.37.
Yeah.
Okay, what I want everyone to understand, and like that was, I should have drum rolled while she was looking because that was so worth it. It takes her her and Ryan, it takes them 3.37 conversations to put a deal in their pipeline. Okay. And the way that their tracker knows that is they enter in how many conversations they had that day and they enter in how many deals they had that day. And over time, those numbers add up and give you a ratio. How many conversations have you had over time? How many deals have you put in your pipeline? So number one, if you know that data, you know you can go and conversation hunt and you're going to have 4 conversations today and you're going to put a deal in your pipeline. And guess what? If you don't put a deal in your pipeline, the next day you're going to go out and have 4 and you're going to put 2 in your pipeline because it's data and data doesn't lie to you. So once you know what that number is, you can relax and just start going and enjoying the game. Okay. So a few things too that I think we need to mention is that you have to make a few shifts in your thinking in order for all of this to work. Okay. So number one, you have to fall in love with the activity, not the result. Because if you are falling in love with the result and you're having commission breath over it, like desperation and urgency, they're going to feel that. And it's going to feel a little more like manipulation of the person and a lot less like authentic connection. Alison, what are your thoughts on that?
100%. I completely agree. In fact, that's something that Ryan and I will sometimes sit down and kind of, dissect a recent conversation or an opportunity that's bubbled up. And I think even, for instance, yesterday we were talking about one of the moms at my son's daycare that we've been friendly with. We've gone out a couple times, only very minimally has it ever even come up that we're realtors. She called me yesterday because she and her husband found out that the building they live in, the owner is selling the building. And so now they're thinking, okay, our lease ends in June, maybe we'll just buy a place of our own. So anyway, after I had that conversation, Ryan and I were talking about it, and he was bouncing some ideas off me like, oh, maybe we try to, show them this or tell them this or da-da. And we went back and forth on it and ultimately decided, no, you know what? Like, let's pump the brakes a little bit and not necessarily try to steer this in one direction or another. That feels a little bit pushy. It feels like we're being a little bit land grabby on that. Let's just roll with it. We're not going to rush their timeline. We're just going to, kind of follow, we're going to listen and absorb what they have shared with us. And we're just going to like meet them where they're at. So I 100% agree that the natural inclination is there to get really excited at even just like the whiff of a real deal. And I still struggle with that. And the other thing I have struggled with and continue to sometimes is on those days where you go out and you hit your conversation goal and everything's feeling good and you've had like a good variety of conversations throughout your day, maybe a past client, maybe a business owner in the community, a vendor partner, maybe just, a total stranger you've met. And none of those are a yes for your pipeline at the moment. In my first couple of months in the program, I was allowing myself to feel really disappointed by not seeing immediate wins, where either every single conversation immediately was turning into a deal I could put into my pipeline, or the other side of that being, oh, well, this is going to be a deal, but it's not for 36 to 48 months out. And I will tell you that is the worst mindset to get into, because then every day feels like a loss. It feels like you're working hard for nothing. It feels like you're constantly chasing that dragon that's never going to be here. When in reality, I don't know, especially, I don't know, maybe for people who have kids, I feel like this is tenfold, but time freaking flies. 24 to 36 months is going to go by in the blink of an eye, first of all. Secondly, it's become really clear to us that the only way to create consistency is to not worry as much about what's right in front of us and what's right now. We just have to get up and keep doing it every single day. Just keep doing it. Fall in love with the activity, like you said. When times are lean, like they are right now, and it's a tough market, I have to tell you, Ryan and I have been so busy the last couple of weeks it's great that there are so many agents who are taking their winter vacation right now. I'm definitely very jealous of that, but we have been so freaking busy servicing new clients and nurturing new opportunities that it's like, tough market. Yeah, I guess, but like we're up to our eyeballs in opportunity for 2024.
And most of our agents are actually busy now, and they know when they're going to get busy because they have this pipeline. It shows them where these deals are lined up, and it very clearly tells them like, hey, you have a huge spring 2024. We got to get ready for that, right? Because we can see these deals in the pipeline. We see their timeline. We see their expected closing date. We know what they're worried about. So we're serving them there and helping them get prepared. And it is a long game, but the beauty of a long game is, and this brings us to a shift that we haven't brought up yet, but Alison, you've alluded to it. We have to stop looking for right now business. Okay, let's just paint it in clear terms, black and white. And so this goes for Pam Portenstein, okay? She wants to know more about her success rate. Guess what? Alison has two choices. When she's talking to that person who's 24, 36 months out, she's got two choices. She can be pissed that they're not ready to move right now, and she can downplay it, disregard it. They're not worth my time right now. She can do that, right? Or she can say, okay, I found this deal. I just found it 2 to 3 years earlier than I would have if I was looking for right now business. So now I have 2 to 3 years to cement this relationship, serve them where they are, and I can put this in my pipeline. So option A, don't put it in your pipeline just because it's not going to pay you tomorrow. Option B is put it in your pipeline, serve them in the meantime, and go find another deal. Right? And that's a huge shift in thinking. So Alison, quick thoughts on that.
Yeah. So what Ryan and I have done to kind of just make sure that we're always managing our expectations with regard to like when deals are going to come to fruition is we are really conservative about how we sort of categorize these opportunities. So a long time ago, I went ahead and had the help desk add those 2 columns to my tracker where I can identify if someone, first of all, which side of the deal they are, just to keep track of it all. Because after a while, you start talking to so many people, and maybe you're not in super regular contact with them, but you have to sort of have a record of like, where did I meet them and how am I helping them? Are they a tenant rep? Is this a list opportunity? Is this a buy side opportunity? So we track that, and we're also very, very conservative about when we will actually call something an opportunity or an active client. And for me, if we're not scheduling showings, until we're scheduling showings, you are at best an opportunity. Until I feel like we're in relationship and I feel confidently that when your time comes, you're going to enlist my services, you're a contact. And it's up to me, like you said, over time to just kind of nurture that. And I can't stress enough that if you are following the formula of this program, don't discount the chance conversation that you have with a neighbor while you're walking your dog and they're walking theirs. And maybe you don't even know where they live yet. Maybe you don't even know their name yet, but like you had a good exchange. Put it in the tracker, if for nothing else, to remind yourself as you're reviewing that, hey, next time I see this person, hopefully there's an opportunity to go a little bit deeper. Even if it's just like, I'm going to get their name, or I'm going to say like, oh my God, we're so happy to be on this block. I love all these historical homes. Do you live on the block? And like, naturally kind of starting to extract a little bit more info out of that. That was another thing I was getting really hung up on in the beginning, is like, oh, I don't know if this conversation is tracker worthy. But there's more meat on the bone in these daily conversations than we typically think there is if you're really listening. And there's always an opportunity to go out and get a little more next time, and get a little more next time, and a little more next time as you're building the relationship. So yeah, I mean, number one, definitely don't poo-poo the stuff that is 2, 3, even 4 years out. People are wrong about their timelines all the
All the
time.
time. All the
All
time. They'll tell you 4 and then they'll move in 18 months.
Yes, and if you sleep on it, you miss the opportunity. And also don't write off the casual conversation that maybe you don't feel like you got much out of it, but if you made a good personal connection and it's going to be a friendly face next time you see them, just make a note of it. So you remember like, hey, I got to go say what's up to this person at the bagel shop next time. They were really nice to me.
So let's talk about this right here. This is what we have 2 versions of this, and it's one's for your conversations and the other one is for vendor partners. I like to call this red light, green light, because what it means is that you can't pass step 1 until you get a green light. You can't pass step 2 until you see a green light there. And what Alison is saying is, hey, if I know this person is a potential deal, but I've never spoken to them, they're a lead. My only job with leads is to be able to connect with them so that I can establish rapport. So I've seen the lead, but I haven't seized the lead, right? When you have a lead that you now are having a 2-way conversation with, that's a contact. And when you are talking with that contact, your job is to do step 3, which is establish rapport, right? And you can't, you every time you put a deal in your pipeline and is this a lead? Is this a contact? Is this an opportunity? Is this an active client? It literally tells you what part of this step you're at and what your job is, right? So when you're following up with your pipeline, which will be how you increase your success rate, you have to look at where are we in this process, because you can't shortchange it. You have to go through the steps. If you don't establish rapport, you really don't have them, right? The other thing that I want to mention here is and we haven't talked about it, so I do want to just define it really quick. Alison, can you tell folks when they say, yeah, but what do you mean you're having conversations with people? How do you get a deal in your pipeline? You just said it's natural. It's not salesy. Like, Alison, can you describe for them, what is that pivotal, critical part of the conversation that tells you, Yahtzee, that's a deal? What is that called?
A trigger, a timeline or a trigger. So a good example, like I mentioned with the mom from my son's daycare, we've hung out a couple of times in a group, had good rapport. On our probably second time getting together, I heard some triggers. I knew they were renting. They mentioned that when their lease is up, they probably wanted to buy. They love the neighborhood. They're already inquiring about schools in the neighborhood because they knew that we have an older son who's already in Chicago Public Schools. So I already had them in my pipeline for 2 years out. I just said, let's just toss this in there for 2 years, worst case scenario. We're going to continue to see them. We're going to continue to be friendly because we just enjoy the relationship. We just enjoy being friends. And lo and behold, like I mentioned earlier, people are wrong about their timelines all the time. Something came up. We have a conversation on the phone yesterday. Hey, our landlord told us that he's selling the building. And this led to a whole deeper dive into, oh, well, what are they going to list it for? What do you think about that? Would you guys be interested in buying the building? You seem to love living there. And so, yeah, it does just kind of unfold naturally. And to anyone who's listening to this or watching this right now, I would say, like, don't doubt yourself. You have the skills to have a natural conversation. You do it all the time. The muscle that you probably need to train a little bit better is this.
Listening.
It's just listening, be interested, not interesting. Be detached from the outcome. If you come from a salesy background like I do, we get very wrapped up in telling, and telling is not selling. You have to be listening, and knowing what to listen for. I am socially awkward. I am introverted. I am not the life of the party. I am not someone who feels super comfortable going out and like initiating new conversations all the time. This is just like going on through my daily life. You talk to the person you pick up your dry cleaners from. You talk to the person when you're getting your nails done. You talk to the moms and dads you see at pickup. Just dial up your, as I would say to my 2-year-old, your listening ears a little bit, and you'll be surprised what you can extract from those conversations.
Yeah, and I think that, most people, what happens in real estate is we think we can just jump into, hey, who do you know that's looking to buy or sell real estate? Guys, you missed everything when you do that. Okay? The thing that causes people to consider moving is called a trigger for a move. These are documented reasons why people move, and they don't really change over time. Everyone's got one of these 10 triggers for a move, right? But it's really about what is going on in their life. Okay. What is going on in their life? What are the moving pieces in their life? Who are the players? What is shifting for them? Their trigger for a move lives there. And if you don't take the time to talk to them about their life, you won't hear it. You won't hear it. And then if you jump too quickly into, well, let me see if I can get you to get a house, blah, 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 blah. If you go and you pass how this is affecting them on an emotional level and what they're worried about, what their thoughts are, what kind of internal conversations are they having about it? If you skip that, you skip building rapport. You lose the one thing that matters the most to the consumer, which is trust. Trust that you're not going to be in this for your own interests, but that you're actually listening to theirs. And once you have that trust, guys, it's no contest. You just need to stay in touch with them and make sure that you're understanding exactly where they are in the process, serving them where they are, making sure that if they have questions, they're coming to you so that you can help them understand their next steps. Don't make any assumptions about the next steps. It doesn't matter what they end up doing. Serve them where they are, and you will gain more business. Okay. So with that said, Allison, we have a few more questions to get to, so I'm going to stop screen sharing. I want to go to Lydia Penner's question now. Okay. Lydia Penner, and actually, so it's Lydia Penner wants to know how to be more efficient with her time without sacrificing her results. And then Lisa Johnson Medford says, she wants to know, how do I do this consistently? So what would you say in terms of your daily and routine and schedule? What keeps you efficient? What keeps you on track? And what keeps you consistent, Allison?
Well, it feels a little cliche, but it is entirely true. And I know this is something you promote in the program as well. And for me personally, it's just like win the morning, win the day. So, even I will say my worst days, the days where I'm the hardest on myself, the days where I'm like, oh, this is not for me. I'm done with this industry. I'm never going to make it. Those days all have something in common. And it usually is like a day that just started off on the wrong foot, and I didn't get to stick to my morning routine. And it's 11:30 and I'm still in my PJs and I feel so unproductive and just build up this like mountain of anxiety. And before you know it, for me, the whole day becomes a wash. So for me, it's win the morning, win the day. um I have to admit, I am not a master of my calendar yet, but I have learned so much in the last several months in this program. And one of those things, one of the most important things that I've learned is I cannot say yes to everything. And when you start having success with having these conversations, it's easy to almost get like addicted to trying to be everywhere all at once, because you're like, oh, well, if I go to this event, think about how many conversations I'm going to have. Oh, if I volunteer with this group, I'm going to be having conversations the whole time. But it becomes overwhelming very quickly, or it can become overwhelming really quickly. So for me to be efficient and to also feel like I'm honoring like my boundaries and my time blocks and having the appropriate amount of family time and things like that, um, it's been important for me to integrate things that I just genuinely really enjoy doing and using that as an opportunity to listen for timelines and triggers, but not put a ton of pressure on, well, for these 2 hours that I'm with the local garden club, I need to make sure that I'm having 3 conversations and like take the pressure off yourself. Do what you need to do throughout your day, honor your calendar as best as you can. Leave yourself some white space. That was something I had to learn about. In my previous career, white space was strongly discouraged. It was, if you're not working 80 hours a week, you're not working hard enough. Um, you're not going to be any good to your family, your friends, your clients, your neighbors if you're completely run down and discombobulated. So build in that time in the office to just stare at your calendar, stare at your pipeline, stare at your notebook, whatever you need to do to kind of get things in order. And just showing yourself grace. I have looked at this full-time realtor slide that you have up, and I've modeled and remodeled my calendar probably 10 times in the last couple of months, just playing with time blocks and what works and what doesn't. And I still haven't totally found the answer, but I do know for me that I have like certain hard cutoffs that I never used to adhere to in my previous life. So, I'm not doing back and forth text messages with clients at like 8 p.m. It's just not happening. Nothing in real estate, very few things in real estate, let's say, very, very few, are an emergency. And I'm a very, very urgent person. And if you're wired that way, like I am, and you want everything done today, right now, you're going to be disappointed a lot. And you're going to feel like every day is a little bit of a failure and you're not like meeting the expectations on your calendar. But yeah, I mean, right to this slide, you have to have a little bit of grace with yourself and also others. Everyone's busy. Everyone's got a lot going on. Be diligent about taking notes. Be diligent about time blocking. Honor it as best you can. And try to integrate things that are already a part of your life that you enjoy and find opportunities within that time to engage with people and have conversations.
Yeah. It's funny because I love working with you and you just really soak up a lot of what I teach you. And this is why, as you're talking, I'm pulling slides up because I want you to see and I want everyone else to see that just with a few short months of dedication, you can master this content. She said, have grace with yourself, but own your results. We pull that slide up. She says, white space is important. We pull that slide up. And Alison, I want you to talk too. We've heard about you and where you were before all this, right? The anxiety, the hits to your confidence, the abrupt shift, and now you're selling to your friends and they don't like it. And it just was like, I don't know if I can do this. And it's completely different now. Now you're driving your day, right? And I think this slide is important too. We think consistency means perfection. It doesn't mean perfection. It means waking up every single day and recommitting. And sometimes recommitting is just your morning routine, entering the world as your best self. And sometimes that's as far as you get because something happens at 9 a.m. and then boom, your day's out of whack. But did you wake up and enter the world as your best self? You got to start there, right? Did you track? Even if it was a shitty day yesterday, did you track? Right? And then great. Okay, some days you're going to get all the way. You hit your lead gen, you're following up with everybody. Now the question is, are you serving your people? Did you serve your clients, right? So this just shows you time blocks are important. Okay, your calendar is important. White space is important. And have grace with yourself, but own your results. And if you're tracking, you're going to know exactly where you are. So I have one last question for you, and we're going to put Ryan on blast just a little bit here.
Yeah.
And then we didn't get to everyone. So I have one tidbit here at the end that I just want to share. But talk to me about Ryan. When I found you first, right? And Ryan was like, wait, what are you talking about, Alison? And he was like, yeah, I'm not really sure I want to be involved, right? And now Ryan is he's my defender on the internet. Like I so my question to you is what, how have you watched your partner transform?
Oh my God. I'm gonna get choked up talking about it. Because seriously, like if we were not on board with this together, this would not be happening. I really like can't help but get a little bit emotional because we still have our super crappy moments. Like we have plenty, me especially, I have plenty of days where I'm like, I'm not cut out for this. It's the end. I'm done. This deal fell through. Oh, I just found out my girlfriend bought $1 million condo with somebody else. Like those things still permeate and they still affect us. But having Ryan join the program. So basically, Danielle, I saw your video on Instagram. I had already been done with a previous coaching program that didn't work out well for me. I was feeling incredibly lost. We love our brokerage. They offer a ton of great coaching and training as well, but nothing was really landing with me. So I watched your video. Then I watched the webinar, the free webinar, and I was like, I got to at least have a conversation with this woman. Like, there is no way that this is legit, or there's no way that this is going to work for me. And when you and I spoke, I shared with you that Ryan was skeptical because we had just spent, quite a bit of money on another program. It wasn't really, we weren't seeing the results we wanted. And he wanted me, and I think I did for the first couple of weeks, maybe through boot camp, he wanted me to do it myself and then like kind of come back and report to him. And if it seemed like it was worth it, he would consider it. And I think like before I even finished boot camp, I was like, no, that's not how we're going to do this. You need to watch the webinar. You need to then have a conversation with Danielle. And if we're going to do this, because this is a complete mindset shift, this is like, completely going to change the way we run our business. We need to be on the same page because I'm not going to be the only one. We're co-CEOs. I'm not going to be a CEO and then like delegating to you. Like we need to make these decisions together and we need to be on the same level. So I was actually shocked at how quickly Ryan embraced it. We're very different in the sense that I am extremely type A, anal retentive, very tightly wound, rigid and regimented person. And Ryan is more like, he's just typically more open to like trying new things, not necessarily being like locked into a system. Just kind of go with the flow and see what happens. And as different as we are in the ways that we approach our work, your program has been such a good fit for both of us. And one of the best elements of it that I don't think either of us expected or continues to be the weekly coaching calls are so huge. In fact, we just said yesterday, we need to both like recommit to both being on the calls as often as possible. And we are both like way out of boot camp. We're like weeks and weeks and weeks into the challenge, but I am not leaving. I am like not ready for momentum yet. I know that. We're on the coaching calls because the sense of family support, you get to air your grievances a little bit. We talk about what's going on that affects all of us, regardless of which part of the country we're in. There are referral opportunities, the Facebook page. I mean, you need that moral support. And so, yeah, I mean, I cannot imagine how differently things would have turned out had I maybe just like gone through the program by myself and never gotten Ryan on board. And now he's like taking the lead when I fall off.
I have a question for you. How do you think your life would be different if you hadn't done the program?
Would you agree like 1,000,000% I would not be in real estate. 100%. No, I would have left the industry.
And I don't know if I would be here anymore either.
No, I don't think either of us would be doing this.
And then I remember when you guys joined me, I told you, even though it's a 90-day program, I told you, I said, buckle up because you're going to be family for life.
Mhm.
Do you feel like that's an honest statement? And if so, why?
Yes, and I'm gonna cry again because oh, we feel seen and we feel validated. And, real estate can be very isolating. Any sales job can be very isolating. It can sometimes feel competitive, and it's hard to go through your day and resist the urge to compare yourself to people who seem like they're just in the stratosphere and, on days where we're like struggling just to survive. And yeah, I cannot stress enough. Again, I'm like looking into the camera for anyone who's watching right now. Danielle is like mama bear to all of us. I don't know how she does it without multiplying, cloning herself somehow, but it's absolutely true. Like I said to you before we went live, Ryan and I have had definitely, some challenging times, some dark days where I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to get a job. I'll say like, I'm going to get a real job, because to me, a real job was always defined by a biweekly paycheck. We can't do this. We're not going to make it. And he will go and Voxer you and tattle on me and say, hey, Allison's losing steam. She's not, she's
We
getting
need
off
you,
track.
coach. We're tapping
Yeah.
you in.
Come on, coach, help me out here. And, yeah, just, what I'm talking about. The amount
Is
of
this
belief that you've
is this
shown.
the moment where I announced live on Facebook that there's actually 3 of me? I'm a triplet. No, I'm just
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, but
okay.
it's
Really quick, because I have a class at 11. I'm teaching for the board and I've got to get on there. But really quick, I do want to talk to Marisa Reed. Marisa Reed, to get a buyer's agent and an ad person. Okay. I'm going to give you the best advice that I have ever been given when it comes to hiring people and building a team. If you want 1% talent, and that means someone who is not only hungry, humble, smart, ready to learn, ready to go, right? It also means they have to be a fit for you, personality wise, culture wise, with you, your organization. You have to be able to help that person get where they want to go in their life. Your business is a vehicle they're going to get in, and your vehicle better be big enough and have enough fuel to get them where they want to go. And if you want to find that needle in a haystack, you guys, you have to put out a net that will get 100 resumes so that by the end of that process, you hire the best one, because 1 out of 100 is 1%. And if you're looking for that 1% talent, the best advice I can give you is hire slowly. Okay, be very, very clear and diligent in that process. 100 resumes, take the top 50, go through that 50, place phone calls to the top 25. Okay, the 25 people, how do they answer the phone? What's their voicemail sound like? Okay, are they professional enough or polite enough when they answer the phone? Okay, if you like what you hear, go and offer them a 15-minute phone conversation to the top 10 or the top 15. Spend some time getting to know what is their experience, what are their vision, what is their goals, what do they value, and then set up in-person interviews for the top 7, right? Find out what their 5-year plan is. Okay, are they willing to do what it takes to get there? Are y'all a personality fit? And then go and hire the best one. Okay, it takes you a couple weeks to get through this process. It's a hard process, but if you hire the wrong person, most people will just hire the first person that is like, hey, I need a job, right? And if you hire the wrong person out of desperation, you guys, you will set yourself back 3 to 6 months. You will cost yourself time and money and joy. So if you want to acquire talent into your business, be very clear about what you're looking for. Be very clear about what opportunities you can provide. Be very clear about what it will take for them to get where they want to go. And take your time hiring and really do a big wide net. And then set up a really good 30, 60, 90 training program to gradually get them into the training you need, as well as have them self-assess at 30, 60, 90 days. And then you provide your own leadership perspective based on what you're seeing of what you feel they could work on. Now, last but not least, I do want to mention, you guys, this has been a really long interview. And if you're hanging around till the end, like, thank you. But we have a class coming up on December 4th and 5th. Okay. It is a 2-day clinic. It is called the 5 Simple Shifts to a Deal a Day Pipeline. It is a live version of where Alison and Ryan started when they got into our program. It is basically an accelerated boot camp. And right now, you can go ahead, and I'll put the link down in the description in the comment section. You guys can go ahead and secure your ticket now. December 4th, December 5th, 11 to 2 Eastern. Okay. If you book your ticket now, you can get it as cheap as $49. Okay. Plus, you can upgrade for an additional $49, and you can get an abbreviated tracker so that you could actually track your data, which is critical. Allison, 5 seconds or less. What is your authentic opinion on this offer I just made to these people watching? Should they do it?
Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it, especially with the tracker. Just do it.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. It's life-changing.
So Allison, I appreciate your time today. I love both you and Ryan so much. You guys are like family to me, and it's because of your genuine, wonderful nature, your perseverance, your commitment to each other. I think you guys are just shining examples. If somebody has a deal in Chicago's Northside, how do they get a hold of you, Allison?
I would love for you to email me at Alison, ALISON, at digschicago.com, DIGS Chicago.com. And let's talk. And if you have any questions about the program or my experience in the program, I'm happy to share more too, because I love Danielle and I can't say enough good things about her and her coaching.
Golly gee whiz, thank you. All right, you guys, thank you so much. Alison Aviles from Chicago's Northside, and Ryan. Hello, Ryan in the background. He's listening. And y'all just register for the class. Get in touch with Allison if you have any deals anywhere around Chicago, and we'll see you guys next week. Okay, bye, Allison. We'll see you later.